Okay, I think we'll get started. So today we're going to talk about torque. And last time we talked about rotational motion, and we saw that we worry about position, velocity, and acceleration. And we can talk about the angle, the angular velocity, and the angular acceleration. So if there's going to be some kind of rotational acceleration, because there's an acceleration, there must be some sort of force applied to cause that acceleration. Well, that brings in the idea of torque. And so let's look at an example here where we've got a mass connected to some kind of rod, and we can, for now, take the rod to be rigid but infinitely light, so no mass of its own, and attached to some pivot point here. So we get rotation about that pivot point, and we can get acceleration of that mass in a rotational manner around that pivot point. Well, that occurs when there is a force applied. Now, in general, that force could be applied in any direction relative to the angle of this rod. And so we can break the force into two components relative to this radius here. That which goes parallel to it, and we'll call that F parallel, and that goes perpendicular to it. And if we just think about the physics here, if we're looking at the parallel component, that would be like pulling or pushing on the rod, and that's not going to cause a rotation. It's only the perpendicular force that will contribute to rotation. So it isn't exactly the total magnitude of the force that we need to worry about. It's the total magnitude of the force perpendicular to the rod, and then the direction it'll go will be the direction of that force. Now, how that accelerates, if we is given to us by this quantity called torque, which is proportional to both the size of the force. Right? So if it's the size of the force, then that will cause an acceleration. If it's bigger, it'll cause more acceleration. If it's lower, it'll cause less acceleration. But also the length of that arm. So if you're trying to turn a large arm compared to a small arm, you're going to need more torque to cause that same acceleration, angular acceleration. And so the torque is given to us by this formula. And again, the direction is such that positive torque means it wants to elicit counterclockwise rotation, and negative torque wants to elicit clockwise rotation. The units here are newtons, of course, for force in SI, and then meters for the radius. Now, there's a separate way to look at it, or an alternative way to look at the same picture. So I've drawn the same picture now, but instead of breaking the force into components, we'll break the radius into components, and we'll trace down here and try to find an arm that's perpendicular to the direction of the force. This is called the lever arm. And so this rod is effectively this long when we use the full magnitude of the force. So basically it's saying, what if we want to get the equivalent amount of torque as we had from this point of view, what value of R would we need to have if we use the full force rather than the perpendicular force? And it's just another way of looking at torque. The answers, the formulas are basically the same. Notice the onus of finding the perpendicular piece is on the force here, and here it's on the radius piece. Now, just like with forces, torques add or torques superimpose, and so the total net torque is just the sum of all the individual torques, again taking into account sine for Positive will be counterclockwise rotation, negative will be clockwise rotation. So let's do a couple of examples here. Let's say we have some setup like this, and let's calculate the torque right at the instant when this system is just like this. And I'll remind you here that the weight force is equal to mass, right? The mass times the acceleration, and that's the acceleration due to gravity, and g is 9.8 meters per second squared. And this is always in the negative direction here, downward. Okay, so let's identify the torques. Let's label this mass A. It's 1 kilogram, 1 meter away, so numbers chosen just to be simple here. This is 1 meter away from the pivot point, and it is 2 kilograms. Now notice the configuration here. The force, the downward force due to weight, is completely along the radial arm for B, and it's completely perpendicular for the radial arm for A. So we're getting maximum torque here. All of the force is perpendicular, and here we're getting minimum torque. All of the force is parallel. And so the torque for B, I guess these should be vectors, is 0. And the torque for A then is going to be mass of 1 times 1 meter, or I guess 1 meter times the mass times the acceleration due to gravity. Now this is eliciting a clockwise rotation, so then by convention we use a minus sign here, and that gives us minus 9.8 Newton meters. All right, well, let's let this thing be at any arbitrary angle, and if we measure that angle relative to the horizontal here, we'll call that angle theta A. Then this would be angle theta B, and if we measure that, I guess we'll measure that from here to here. That's going to be 2 pi, that's this bit, plus this remaining bit, which is going to be, because these are 90 degrees to one another, will be exactly theta A. So this angle here, theta B, the total angle, will be theta A plus pi over 2. Okay, so let's write out the torques for each of these. We're going to need the perpendicular component only. So that's going to be cosine theta A, then times the radius, the mass, and the acceleration due to gravity. And then a minus sign here because that wants to move in this direction. Now, let's get torque B. That's this. 9.812. Now notice, this is going to want to push this way, right? But that's going to take care of itself with this cosine, because this cosine will go negative. So we still leave that negative sign there. Now, let's try to find the place where this is in equilibrium. And so that's going to be when the forces add, the torques add to 0. So unlike equilibrium situations in the linear case where we balance forces, in the rotational case we balance torques in a vector manner. Okay, so let's write out each of these formula up here. So there's tau A and tau B. I'm going to bring, well, first I'm going to cancel the 9.8 because I've got 0 over here, so I can divide both sides by 9.8, and that'll clean that up. Then I'm going to bring this bit over here, so I'm going to have minus cosine theta A equals 2 cosine 2 pi over, or 2 pi plus theta A. Then we'll use the trig identity that this is equal to sine theta A. We've got negative sine theta A, so we're going to have two negative signs, so that will cancel. And now I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to bring this cosine over here, my 2 over here, and then I'm going to just switch the order. So I have sine theta A over cosine theta A equals 1/2, or tangent theta A equals 1/2. Solving for theta A equals arctangent 1/2. And so these are torque problems, and they elicit rotation, acceleration, in a rotational acceleration. And so good now to practice a few of these. So work some of the problems in the physics book, whatever physics book that you have. Work some of the homework that we have associated with this, and this should come pretty well for you.